So I have spent my time trying to lead you to law. 50 years worth, actually. Uh, that is that's my decision. Your decision, however, is to recognize the possibility, at least, that you need to know what the evidence is. You need to know what the cost of being wrong is. You need to know what is true and untrue about those things that people tell you to believe or not to believe. Because just because you want to believe it doesn't mean it's true. You know, the idea is that media has reduced you to images that you no longer read, you no longer care. You just let the media feed you an image and tell you what to believe about that image, and that's all there is to it. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to want anything, you don't have to be anything. You can just believe whatever it is they tell you, because after all, they're God. Or more correctly, they're the priests of God, who is the university to them. So, to get life back, to begin again, means that we have to learn what is or is not true about what we have been told. It is that simple. We have to learn what is or is not true about what we have been told, and to do that in this USA, we have to use redress of grievances. It's a First Amendment constitutional law that sits above jurisdiction of the courtroom. It's the Constitution. It cannot be touched by the courtroom. They can give their opinion, but they cannot, in fact, make any decision regarding the Constitution at all. They are not allowed by the Constitution. The separation of powers doesn't allow the President to make a decision about the Constitution, and it doesn't let the Congress make the decision about the Constitution. The only people that can make a change in the Constitution are the states. Changes have to be ratified by 2/3 of the states, or it cannot be changed. Which is both a very powerful thing for you, because the redress of grievances, which means that together we can decide to investigate what is or is not true, and what is or is not the direction of this society, and what is or is not the valid reality of our leadership. And we get to make changes on our own. By 2/3 majority of the citizenship vote, we actually can make a change in the Constitution itself. And that is our right, because we are the owners of this democracy. But you have to understand that changing the Constitution is a very serious thing in real terms. The universities have been changing the Constitution by changing the courtrooms in the democracy and in government and media and money and everything else, slowly over the years, by counterfeiting money, creating currency that does not exist, and creating debts that we will never pay, and using resources that cannot be recovered to kill the entire future of every child. So, why should we use redress beyond that? Well, the fact of the matter is that if that ain't enough for you, the fact of the matter is that we are being overtaxed even beyond that. Income tax, and then there's state tax, and then there's Social Security tax, which is a tax they've already spent. There's nothing left in Social Security. I don't care what you believe, there's nothing left in Social Security. So, and then there's estate tax and real estate tax and sales tax and tax on miscellaneous things. And anyway, the end result of my particular situation is roughly 70% of any income that I might get goes to government. It goes to the people who believe that they can decide better than I can decide for my life, or for my nation, or for my state, or whatever it is. They have decided that they can do better with 70% of my money. So and they do. They take it because they can, because we let them. And that doesn't include the inflation, because the inflation is directly related to what government spends. When they don't spend within the limits and boundaries of what taxation will allow, they create a tax that that they generate on their own that we have to pay later. It's you know, every penny that they spend is supposed to be paid later, and that's a tax that's hidden in later. And of course, the end result of debts that cannot be paid and will never be paid is that this is slavery, because it's never going to be paid. Even though you claim that you have the money, even though you claim, I can go to the store and buy a new car with this money, the end result is that they're stealing the resources to make that payment to you, to give you that car, by stealing it from the future. They're stealing it from every child. They're taking the life and possibility of living from your children. You are doing that with your greed, by saying, I don't care, by saying, go ahead and let them do whatever they want to do, because it's better than facing the reality of what we have done. And of course, what has been done is that the university has spent every last penny of what they could collect, every last penny of what they could counterfeit, and every last penny of what debt was for their toys and their trophies and their trinkets. That's all there is. Did you see any infrastructure being built around the nation? No, you did not. Damn little, because, you know, that costs them money. They don't get their toy or trophy or to be proud and powerful and all that. And of course, you know, media hides that. And of course, they you know, robbed Fort Knox, you know, back in Reagan's time. Reagan needed an answer. The university provided. Just spend the gold, sell it, and he did. And of course, that was a solution that they found. And the cost of that solution was everybody in the university got $1 million pay raise, just about. You got a diploma, you got $1 million pay raise. And so that changed society, as society said, now we found the money. And they ran to the university and believed whatever they had to believe to get the diploma so that they could have the money and be greedy. So we're looking at the truth of life. And the truth of life is that we have to stop the tragedy of what is coming by stopping all the lies. We have to stop all the lies. I'm not asking you to believe anything. I'm asking you to go and search and find what is or is not true by using redress of grievances, because the courtroom is not going to let you do it. I've been to the courtroom and they say, you cannot question the university. They are God. They are the expert. They are God. You cannot question the university. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It doesn't matter if they're threatening the entire world. It does not matter. The university is God. You don't understand. In every constitutional law that exists, they just simply remained quiet and locked the door in my face. And sent thieves and liars and cheats to steal from me. So the end result of it is that we need to know what is or is not true about our nation and our world, because, you know, we are participants in this world, and if the entire planet is going to die, then you know, that's going to affect you and me and our world and our nation and everything else. We have to know. We have to know, not believe. We have to know what the future will be by the cost of what we're doing today. And of course, you know, mutilating nature, they think, or the, you know, people believe, well, they're just mutilating nature, and if they extend my life for one more day, well, that's just worth the price then. Well, what if they kill all life instead? And that includes you, and that includes your child. And that is certainly what they're doing. They're adding chaos to nature, because genetics are nature. So they're adding chaos to nature because evolution is their God. That's the religion of university. The cult of, you know, Satan, actually, because they are trying deliberately to destroy the world by saying we don't care about nothing. Arrogance and apathy and disrespect is complete. So the end result is, why should we, or how do we get to redress? That's really the question. How do we get to redress in this USA? And the answer to that is that we should not, it is our duty to not support our enemies. It's our duty. You can't just wave a damn flag and say, I'm a patriot. You can't. It's useless. But you can say, we need to know what is true. And we need to enforce what is true. And they can't tax us unless they are obeying our constitutional law. They have no right to tax us for not doing their job. We pay them to do the job we hired them to do. We did not pay them to make choices for us. We paid them to do the job the Constitution allows them to do. They are our employees. They are not our God or ruler or king or whatever it is, as they believe they are. Spending whatever they want for whatever they want and handing us the bill in secret by the inflation that we have to pay and the debts that will never be paid and so on. They are our enemies. Not necessarily because they want to be, because they want to be leaders who give you whatever you want. And of course that's what the people want. They want whatever they want. But the end result of that is the death of a nation, death of a world, death of every child because of you, because of what you want. So we have to identify what is true. Could I be wrong? Well, let's find the evidence and make sure. That's all. Let's find the evidence and make sure. You have a right to demand that, our democracy shall in fact be governed by constitutional law. And if it is not governed by constitutional law, and there is no constitutional validity in bankrupting the whole nation or state of Illinois, for instance, there's no possibility that our leaders were allowed to do that. They did it anyway. They just did it on their own. They wanted to pay. They wanted to give whatever their little group was money. Just like Trump wants to give the very rich more money, and Biden wanted to give the very poor more money. And they took it all, of course, from the middle class, because that's how the middle class becomes evaporated into nothing. Because the leaders steal from the middle class because they have money that can be stolen. You don't have lawyers like the very rich do to fight with everything that they can and pay the puppets of the government to do whatever you want and control the courtroom by bribes and whatever have you and all the rest. And of course the poor have no say at all, and so they take it from the middle class, which means the middle class dissolves. And communism erupts because, of course, somebody has to make the decision at that point when things aren't working well, and they stand up and say, we are the experts, we are God. And of course they're not, and it ends up in turmoil and chaos just like everything else. Take a look at the world. We stand on the edge of extinction. Even if you don't believe that, it doesn't matter. What is true is true is true is true, and it will not be true because you want what you want. You have to understand we are making choices, and by not paying the income tax, for instance, that gives you the demand that we will have redress. And when you impose redress, when we have redress, then you are owed the tax, because obeyment of constitutional law gives them the right to tax us. But if they do not obey constitutional law, then they do not have a right to tax us. It is that simple. It is a constitutional fact of life. They have an amendment that says we can have an income tax, but they don't have any amendment that says they can bankrupt us. There is no part and no piece of any part of government that says our leaders have a right to bankrupt us. And if we investigate the money supply, we'll find that 100 million people, they've created currency in the amount of over $6 million per each and every one of 100 million people. Do you have your $6 million? Somebody does. Somebody believes you're going to pay in the amount of $6 million per one, each and every one of 100 million people with your work and resources. And of course there's not enough resources on the earth to provide for that. So the end result is that they steal from the future, and then the future dies. They steal from every child, and then of course every child dies. They ransack and rape the entire world to get resources to keep the greed and the bribe going. And of course the end result of that is the world no longer lives. The world is going to die. And every life on earth is going to be extinguished. Every life on earth is actually going to be crucified by genetic alteration. Every life on earth can be incinerated because they're trying to ignite the same fire that's on the sun here on earth, claiming that there's not enough gravity to sustain the fire, so it'll just put itself out. It'll just put itself out. A 1,000,000-mile long flame, 4 times the distance to the moon. Going to ignite that and believe it'll just put itself out. Really? What if it doesn't? Think about it.